Stay connected with KFI News on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks. I'm Libby Denkman.
Welcome. Let's meet the candidates.
I don't feel no ways tired.
I have a brother that was president and a father that was president.
People go into prison straight, and when they come out, they're gay.
Sit down and shut up.
I am a very, very proud wacko bird.
Black lives matter. White lives matter.
Unlike another woman in this race, I actually love spending time with my husband.
I was a person who was the governor during the 9/11 attack.
Horse apples. Get the heck out of the way.
I ought to be Pope, not president.
Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
I'm all for humor, but I think reality TV and the presidential election ought to be separate.
California has a drought, and so that's why I brought my own water.
We will never have the elite, smart people on our side.
We will have so much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning.
And now, an update from the 2016 presidential race desk. Here's John and Ken.
All right, John Cobell and Ken Champeau. We're all excited here. KFI.
You're off and running.
USA.
Yeah,
USA.
there he is. He won the debate last night without even being there.
Yeah, I think
USA.
he did.
USA.
We want to thank everybody who came. That was a tremendous turnout and a lot of fun yesterday.
Oh, City National Grove of Anaheim did a great job hosting us.
Standing room only there.
We particularly liked our little exclusive dressing room with snack treats.
Yes. Yeah.
Our own private bathroom.
That's right. We were walking.
John had a couch to sleep on.
That's right. We were walking around. We were taking our time dressing there. It was a good day yesterday. We thank everybody from KFI and all the sponsors and all the staff
Libby,
here.
you didn't get a dressing room, did you?
No, I did not.
We were happy to share ours
Libby.
with you.
I had to go in a broom closet.
You just...
And he also
Thanks
apologized. A lot of people wanted to come up and have a picture taken with you, too, and I know you're busy with the news. I didn't want to interrupt, but...
Yeah, that was too bad. I felt I didn't want to be ignoring the picture takers, but I had so much going on with the news.
Yeah,
you know?
she's like busy the whole show because while we take a break, she's doing like a news update.
I'm writing the next update and, getting stuff from the editors. So I didn't mean to not take pictures with people, and I really appreciated everyone who wanted to say hi. And, it's just...
You made up for it by juggling.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah.
And eating
you.
cotton candy that you made kids get for you.
Yeah, the children had to go.
She actually sent them.
That.
Did you hear her?
She
a couple of kids came up with a picture. She sent them on a mission to bring back
I said, hey,
candy.
you two don't look like you're busy. Go get me something.
Children will do anything. You can order them around and give them any kind of text.
They're happy to help.
So right before we were done, about 5 to 6, we said, so what do you want to see? How many people want to see the Trump event? And I was taken aback. The place exploded with cheers for the Trump event.
Some guy wrote a long email today who's not a big fan of Trump's, just trying to explain, since our audience seems to love Trump, how about these questions? I'm not going to go through it, but it was just funny because there was a definite Trump favorability going on there.
I didn't expect it to be so heavily Trump in the audience. And then...
that one guy, remember that guy that stood up, the military guy with the suit?
Yeah.
He said the perfect thing, which I kind of agree with. Trump is like the Joker. Now, if you watch the Batman series of movies that came out, the more recent ones, the Joker, as played by the dead Heath Ledger, was all about chaos. And that's kind of what Trump is. That was kind of his thing. He really didn't have an ideology. Right. He just wanted chaos.
Oh, well.
And Trump has certainly thrown big chaos into this race.
No, somebody wrote an intellectual article on that he's a disruptor in the way that Amazon and Uber are disruptors in their industries.
Sure,
He came along and
the
said,
establishment is shaken.
Right, and everything gets turned upside down, and you can't go back. And so everybody cheered like crazy. They wanted to watch the Trump event. And I said, all right, how many people want to watch the debate? And there was just a little bit of tepid applause. So I stayed there for a while to watch what happens. And, Tim was switching
I heard
back
that. I was
forth.
listening while driving home. I heard Tim switching back and forth in a frenzy there. Let's see what's going on with Trump.
The crowd started chanting, "We want Trump."
Oh, they did.
We want Trump. They didn't want to watch the debate at the beginning.
Wasn't the side screen on Trump?
Yeah, but they had the audio of the debate.
Yeah.
So
that's all I could hear on the radio. It was running on the audio.
To prevent a revolt, Tim had them switch to the Trump screen, but Trump wasn't really
putting storm the stage.
You don't know. They were really riled up.
Oh, they had been drinking.
They'd been drinking. So he switches screens, but there was nothing going on with Trump. He was doing a telethon. He was reading a list of donors to the Veterans Foundation.
Yeah, he came in already with the amount he had raised. Was it $6 million, I think he said? Yeah.
And then he had some veterans coming up and speaking, and he had Huckabee and Santorum up and speaking. So there really wasn't a lot of action. He didn't put on a big show, so it kind of got dull. So he switched back to the eventually switched back to the debate.
Right.
And
which was dull too, I thought.
Well, the only interesting part that jumped out at me was and led me to thinking, and I have no proof of all this, but Megyn Kelly played the bad girl again, and they ran clips of Cruz and Rubio insisting that in the past, saying they were for amnesty, right? All these Rubio clips pushing amnesty.
Rubio, I know.
Or some euphemism. Well, Cruz was doing it too. He was pushing amnesty too, or some version of it. And it was pretty devastating. It's like what Tim Russert used to do on Meet the Press. You show video clips when they said the opposite, and the question is, were you lying then or are you lying now? And, Rubio started fumfering around saying, well, I wasn't for blanket amnesty. I never said blanket amnesty. It's like, okay, that's a great distinction. And then Cruz was trying to sell the idea that, he had a poison pill amendment. So he had to pretend he was for the main bill in order to get people to support the poison pill amendment that would have killed the bill. Some such nonsense. Explanations that are just way too long. Nobody cares.
Really, yes. Senate maneuverings.
But the thing is, what I wondered is, all right, if they had those landmines laid for Rubio and Cruz, did they have a landmine for Trump? Right? Because he used to say the opposite on a lot of issues compared to what he says now.
Not the Tim Russert pro-life, pro-choice thing.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. So I wondered, did somebody tip Trump off? And Trump
that's why he used this as an exit ramp.
It was a stupid fight that he picked. I mean, basically, he boycotted over a snarky press release. So I'm wondering, it's like, wait a second, they must have had one for Trump, and he got wind of it. And then I started thinking, it's like, you know what? He went on Bill O'Reilly's show in the middle of all this, and he and O'Reilly are really close friends. And I wonder if somebody on O'Reilly's staff tipped Trump off and said, "Look, you got a big bomb coming. Don't show up. But not worth it."
That could happen in any debate. And
why
would this one? I mean, he's going to face this somewhere sooner or later
because he's 3 days away from winning.
If I was the Fox people and that's what happened, the next time he agrees to come on Fox on my show, whoever it is I'd play that clip that they had saved for the debate. Not tell them about it. So I'd do that.
They didn't have it for all the other guys. They had it for 2 of the top 3 leaders. Right. So they must have had it for Trump.
Well, here's what happened.
There's even more material with Trump.
If you're curious, because I always am, 12.5 million people is the estimated audience that Fox News got last night for this debate. That is a lower number than any of the previous debates. The first one, August 6th, was 24 million.
And this was on the big network, too. It wasn't on Fox Business Channel, which is really hard to find and is not in every cable system.
Right. The first debate was on CNN, and that was on Fox. That's right. And they got 24 million then. Last night they got 12.5 million. CNN got 23 million viewers on September 16th, 18 million on December 15th. And the last debate shown on the Fox Business Channel, this number was higher than that. Because John's right, that channel is available in fewer homes than Fox News. But, comparing it apples to apples, which would be comparing Fox to Fox and Fox to CNN, definitely a lower audience. It could be because of Trump. I think there was definitely a factor.
It's also the 7th debate.
And fatigue. Exactly right. This debate fatigue that sets in.
Well, at this point, don't we know what we're getting more or less with these guys? Does anybody have to say anything more? We know what Trump's about, and Cruz and Rubio, right?
Yeah.
So there really isn't a reason they have to debate anymore.
For the record, Fox Business got 13.5 million its first debate and then 11 million on January 14th. So 2 weeks ago, that was the lowest debate, 11, and last night 12.5. So a little bit of an increase. Yeah. It's not clear what Trump scored because I guess CNN and MSNBC, I don't know if you're aware, they were sort of going over and checking in on the rally. They weren't really presenting it as its own program, right?
Right. They had commentators talking over it.
Yeah, I had CNN on the car radio on the way home, and that's what I heard, a lot of talking over it. And then we got back for 5 minutes, and then came back again. Tim was actually playing more of it than I could hear on CNN.
Well, we were running the C-SPAN feed.
Oh,
which was uninterrupted, so...
All right, but they got lower than 12.5 million viewers. Not that matters because people who wanted to watch Trump would tune in there and see, well, they're not really covering Trump from me clean here, so they would probably disappear. All right.
I don't think it changes anything, really.
When we come back, we'll play you a new clip of Trump who got right out there on the campaign trail in New Hampshire today and said something funny about Ted Cruz. And also Trump believes that everything's great. Oh, the headline I just saw on CNN, I don't need to campaign anymore. By the way, Monday night is the first votes, whatever you want to call it, the caucusing in Iowa.
John and Ken Show, KFI AM640, Libya's News. John and Ken Show, John Cobell, Ken Shampoo, KFI AM640.
Oh, yeah. Moist Line people are coming your way at 5:20, just 2 hours from now. There are, of course, 2 editions of the Moist Line people, and they're now at 5:20 and 5:50. We are going to have Hack in a Dumpster now. Some of the Ukrainians, I don't know if you saw them, they showed up yesterday at City National Grove of Anaheim.
Well, I think
after
that's
coming from that restaurant across the street. And
I think that's the guy who was groping.
Was he a Ukrainian mob member?
I think he was a Ukrainian
Svetlana
mob.
wasn't around to keep him in line?
No, we didn't see her. But
who else is going to be drinking at 10 in the morning?
They will be here for Hack in a Dumpster at 5:05. There was a little uncertainty around it, but we called him in. We have our hack nominated and ready.
We had a late entrant for the dumpster.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I guess that's a good way to put it. All right, so that's coming too. Hack in a Dumpster at 5:05. Moist Line at 5:20. Turning to Trump, we'll play you some fun audio. Here is Trump the day after the debate. He made his way from Iowa, where he had his rally, to Nashua, New Hampshire. Remember, they're going to vote just a week or so after the Iowa people do. And he said that not doing the debate turned out great. Let's listen.
What happened last night, though, was amazing because I wasn't treated right. I did something that was very risky, and I think it turned out great because I'm on the front page of every paper. I'm getting more publicity than if I don't know. And Cruz, who's in second place, he got really pummeled last night. Actually, I'm glad I wasn't there because I guess all of that, he got pummeled. Wow. And they didn't even mention that he was born in Canada, right? It's when you're born in Canada, you're not supposed to be running for president of the United States. Prime Minister of Canada, no problem.
There's more to this, where he actually brings up the term anchor baby. Let's listen.
Ted Cruz may not be a U.S. citizen, right? But he's an anchor baby. No, he's an anchor baby. Ted Cruz is an anchor baby in Canada. But Canada doesn't accept anchor babies. They just waited a long time. Okay. But look, it is a problem for him, by the way. I think that's one of the reasons he's crashing. I think that's one of the reasons he's a nervous wreck, too. He's figuring, what the hell happened? Remember when I first brought that up? Everybody said, oh, that doesn't mean anything. That was about a week ago. Now they're saying, I think his career is over, right? No, he can continue to be a U.S. senator. How about this? He's a citizen of Canada, and he was a senator from Texas, and he's a citizen of Canada, joint with the U.S. How the hell does that work? But he said he didn't know he was a citizen of Canada. And he didn't know about Goldman Sachs loaning him money. And he didn't know about Citibank loaning him money. Other than that, he's got a very good memory, okay?
Wow. So
Everything's a stand-up act.
Ted Cruz is the punching bag, right? Yeah. After it was Jeb Bush for so long, and that's not a threat anymore. It's easy to pick up.
Jeb seemed more manly last night because he didn't have Trump kicking him around.
We didn't get this audio, but he also took a shot at Martin O'Malley, the asterisk that's running for the Democratic presidential nomination. I saw the funniest headline this morning. I should have brought it in one of the newspapers, that there's this scramble on between Hillary and Bernie Sanders for Martin O'Malley's supporter. I took the S out. Because there was a story that in Iowa, did you read this, John?
No.
Only one person showed up at one of O'Malley's campaign events.
That is true. Yeah, I saw the picture of that.
But NBC News wanted to add, though, Trump failed to note that the lone spectator will caucus for O'Malley now. So he convinced that person.
He won him over?
He did.
Because he met with the guy, and it was he had a Santa Claus beard, right? And it's just old fat guy. And there was a snowstorm that night, so not many people wanted to go out and meet political candidates.
One person,
But he showed up. One person showed up, so O'Malley sat there in an empty room. They were both on chairs, and O'Malley was making the case. I saw the photo. Yeah, there's a photo on this.
Oh, that's hysterical.
But the thing, they asked O'Malley at the time.
And those people have to be fatigued as well. It's not just the weather. They're probably tired of. I got an email from a woman that lives in Iowa and says, well, I've met these candidates. I see them everywhere. It's just, it's annoying after a while.
Plus the media. And
Iowa's not that big a place.
And your phone is ringing every 5 minutes with a pollster.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You got a caucus?
There's like 15 polling companies that are tracking this race minute by minute. So at the time, though, he sat down with the old bearded guy, and at the end of it, well, did you win him over? And O'Malley said no. I guess the guy changed his mind since, maybe because he got so famous. But
Trump said, why is O'Malley running? What's that all about? O'Malley? You know what his claim to fame is? He was mayor of Baltimore, okay? You left him a great, great blueprint for the future. That's nasty because Baltimore, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Has had some problems.
Well, I have seen O'Malley speak at a couple of these debates, and he carries on about all the racial harmony that he's capable of creating. And it's like, are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know.
You were the mayor of freaking Baltimore. That place is a racial cauldron. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that had big problems that began with that guy that died in the police van.
Yeah, another hope and change guy. Oh, these guys, some of these guys are really just lunatics. They're just absolutely, they defy any normal spectrum of human behavior.
Here's another great Trumpism. He told his supporters today in New Hampshire that, you know what? Even if your spouse leaves you, even if you lose your job, or you're a major, major state of depression, you got to get out and vote because I can get rid of your depression. It's like, even if your spouse leaves you. But, he's right. There's a story today in the New York Times that there's a lot of rank and file union members around the country.
Oh, yeah, that's a good story.
Who are turning towards Donald Trump because he's getting their attention. And this touches into the reason of it. They're frustrated, too. These are the working men and women.
Who are losing their jobs overseas.
Right.
And they're fed up with this crap. And Trump is the only one who says he's going to stop it. He's going to put a tariff or a tax on imported goods from places like China and Mexico. And then that will destroy the financial advantage companies have of taking the jobs overseas.
Yeah, he's tapping into their frustrations over their own parties. And most of them are Democrats, obviously, but they're probably thinking, what have I gotten from them voting for them all these years?
Well, yeah, and the Republicans are totally sold out to free trade, too. They don't care what happens to individual people. They get all immersed in statistics and economists, and they look for tenths of a percentage point in growth of the GDP, and that justifies ruining people's lives forever in some cases, and destroying towns all over the country. Towns have been destroyed by factories closing up because these dirtbags, these greed bags who run these corporations ship all the jobs overseas. It's awful. It's just awful. It's really wrecking the country from the inside out.
They talked to a guy by the name of Richard Sabato, the president of a building and construction trades council in northern New Jersey. And he said basically his members lean Republican, but in many cases they voted for Obama, but they would march behind Trump on the issue of illegal immigration. That's another one that he...
Well, yeah, because they take jobs too.
It was also revealed in this article, I saw this before, Trump loves Oreos but won't eat them anymore because they're moving some production to Mexico.
All right, see?
Yeah, see.
That's the kind of stuff that resonates with people.
Did you ever go to the grocery store, and this is kind of a silly non sequitur, but have you seen just how many flavors of Oreos there are today? It's unbelievable.
There's too many choices.
There's like 20 different flavors. I mean, it used to just be the Oreo, and then they made the mint ones, and I said, and then they had the chocolate covered ones. I said, all right. But now they're making them in all sorts of different flavors.
Maybe I have a pea brain.
I think today a cinnamon bun just came out.
Yeah, I can't take too many choices. My brain.
Oh no, you don't like that.
I can't stand going to grocery stores and there's 18 varieties of Oreos.
There's research showing that makes people more unhappy to have that many choices. It's not an overall good.
And it explains why when I'm in line behind a person because there's so many choices they can't choose, and I go nuts.
Yeah, because then you're dissatisfied thinking back to all the choices you passed up. It's better to have fewer.
It's the morons in the bagel line that I have to put up with all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I was behind one woman just this week, right? She's got to order 24 bagels, for everybody at the office. And she can't figure out, first of all, she can't count to 24. And then she can't figure out how many. Well, I want 4 plain. No, make that 6 plain and 2 cinnamon. No, wait, I don't want the cinnamon.
Have it on their phone? They just can read from it?
Oh, no, she has no nothing on her phone, no list, no nothing. Trying to do it off the top of her head. She's got no memory. She can't add. And, then there's all these different flavors of cream cheese, and she can't figure that out either. I swear to God, I almost kicked her in the ass right out the door. It's like, can I get my bagel and get out of here, lady?
When we come back,
one of these office girls, I'm bringing back bagels for everybody. It's like, go home. Out of my way.
We'll update you on troubles for the pantsuit lady, Hillary Clinton.
John and Ken Show. Libby Denkman is news. Oh, more of the John and Ken Show. John Cobell and Ken Champeau. It's KFI AM640.
All right, it's Friday, so everything is here. Hacking a Dumpster comes at 5:05. Moist Line right after that at 5:20 at 5:50. What a 5 o'clock hour. Of course, we'll have more on the big breaking news this afternoon. One of the escaped inmates in Orange County turned himself in. He surrendered, not to the police, but to a woman that he kind of knew at a body shop, an auto body shop. Anyway, that's Bok Duong, the 43-year-old Vietnamese gang member that was charged with attempted murder. We'll have more on that later on in the show. Also, next hour, we'll talk about Porter Ranch. We haven't talked about Porter Ranch and the gas leak in a couple of days. There's been a bunch of developments, and God, I had a headache driving to work because I heard, and I haven't heard her in a long time, that Barbara Boxer on the radio.
What was she screeching about?
She's always considered herself the big environmentalist, and finally she's weighing in.
She waylaid, huh?
She's way late. And you know what she was saying? We may have to close the whole gas field down. We have to consider that. It all has to be shut down. You can't have the Aliso Canyon gas storage there anymore. Anyway, we'll talk about all that in the 4 o'clock hour and then Hacking a Dumpster at 5:05. Now we turn to Hillary Clinton, the pantsuit lady, who apparently is in a little bit of trouble, or at least an update on the whole email scandal that she's been involved with. For the first time today, the Obama administration has confirmed that Hillary Clinton's unsecured home server contained closely guarded government secrets, and they have censored 22 emails with material requiring one of the highest levels of classification.
There is a classification above top secret.
There is, huh?
It's
like
called
super top secret?
It's called special access programs.
Oh.
These are highly restricted classified material.
They're SAPs.
They are SAPs. This has confidential sources or secret programs.
Oh, like drone strikes, it says here, or government eavesdropping.
This is where CIA agents may be identified, secret CIA plots, secret military plots, all the stuff that the government denies exists.
Right.
You know, and they do that for obvious reasons. This is the stuff nobody's supposed to know about. Now, she has it on her unsecured server. And everyone in Washington who is normal worries that they're constantly getting hacking attempts from Russia and China and North Korea. And they think a lot of government files in Washington have been compromised, but at least they have some security walls built up. She had no security wall around her server. She had her server in a bathroom, this small company in Colorado. And they had the servers stored in a bathroom. And there was no technology to protect it from the outside world. Now, you know, if you're a bad guy in the Russian government, of course you'd want Hillary Clinton's private email account. And if there's nothing to stop you, you just go flying right in there and copy all the emails.
Secretary of State knows a lot of good stuff. Foreign governments would like to know what's on.
Yeah, she probably has as much secret information as anybody in the government.
Well, what they have to do now is investigate whether any of the information was classified at the time of transmission. And this apparently is one of Hillary Clinton's primary defenses. She has insisted she never sent or received information on her personal email account that was classified at the time. So later on, it became a SAP, a special access program?
I don't know. See, I don't
You're
really,
not buying that?
No. If it's that secret, it would have been classified right from the beginning. And I think she just is remember, she lies all the time. You know, she's a pathological, habitual liar. She's got a psychological disorder.
That's why she ended up with Bill. Yeah.
That's right, because the two of them are the same. The two of them got the same brain there. And
it says here, even if Clinton only read and didn't write or forward the secret messages, she would still have been required to report classification slippages that she recognized. But even without classification markings, that may have been difficult, especially if the information was in the public domain.
Well, that's why you don't have this on a private server.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the nature of the information changes. And so that is terribly irresponsible, like unbelievably irresponsible. If you're engaged, if you're engaged in secret, covert military and CIA activities, how could you possibly leave that information exposed on your server for your own selfish reasons?
It would occur to me if I was Secretary of State that I would want to keep that secure.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, but let's flip this. Is she just bubble-headed, or what? Or you were saying because she's secretive and she didn't want to do this on government?
She didn't want anyone to have access. I think it's both. She didn't want anyone to have access to her emails because she's so paranoid, right? She's gone through so many scandals.
Yeah, but this could have been easily hacked into, as you just explained 2 minutes ago.
That's the bubble-headed part. She doesn't understand how.
Didn't she have a flacky, like, what's her name?
Huma?
Wiener? Yeah, Huma.
Well,
Huma, by the way, they profiled Huma in Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
And Huma apparently is quoted as saying a couple of times that Hillary is muddle-headed, basically.
Yeah.
That we have to watch out because sometimes she doesn't know what. Well, obviously, a 68-year-old woman is not up with all the latest technology, and that was part of it. But there was also this feeling I got in it that sometimes Hillary Clinton's not there.
Yeah. She gets easily confused.
Yeah.
And
that was the line, I think, confused.
Yeah. She gets confused. And remember, she did fall on her head a couple of years ago.
Well,
and she was in the hospital for a while.
And she married Bill Clinton.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she must be brain damaged. Look at that marriage she's had for the last 50 years. I mean,
must have slipped down the wedding aisle.
Something's wrong.
Well, she's got a spokeshole. Did you read what Clinton campaign spokesman Brian Fallon? Although the AP wrote this story, it's been reprinted on a lot of websites, and they put his first name as Brain. I've done that before, and I've typed emails to somebody named Brian. I type Brain.
Brain Fallon.
But I doubt he's Brain. I'm sure he's Brian. He calls this. He accuses, I like this expression, the loudest and leakiest participants in a process of bureaucratic infighting. Apparently, they want all the emails released, and they think this is overclassification run amok, he says.
Yeah.
He thinks that
good talking point they invented.
He's trying to say that they're not so top secret, I guess is what he's trying to say.
Yeah. You know what? The thing is, she can't blame this on the Republicans, which is her knee-jerk response.
Yeah.
This is the Obama administration
that's
investigating
this is her own people, right?
Yeah, this is the people she used to work with. They're investigating her.
Right.
So, she screwed up. She lies to cover it up. She won't admit to it, but at the very least, grossly irresponsible to leave all this stuff exposed on her server. Just really bad judgment.
But we really want to know, can it lead to any charges?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. Darrell Issa was running around claiming
Darrell Issa's back.
That the FBI director wants to indict her. He doesn't get to. He gets to recommend it, but the Justice Department, the Attorney General, gets to decide whether an indictment will go through.
Yeah, it says here the FBI is looking into Clinton's whole email setup, but they're saying nothing about the nature of their investigation. Independent experts say it's highly unlikely that Clinton will be charged with wrongdoing based on the limited details that have surfaced up to now.
Well, based
on
the
lack of any indication she intended to break any laws. See, if she's muddle-headed, and they usually say, though, that ignorance is not an excuse, right? But maybe that's a factor here.
That gets into a gray area, though. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. Come on. So do they? Well, actually, they probably have a jail pantsuit.
Oh yeah, the orange jumpsuit. She'll look good in that. Orange is her color. John and Ken Show, KFI. Libby Denkman is news.
So I'm going to his office thinking that I'm going to go meet with, right? Because he said Indian American. I am running for the Senate. People always ask me, well, what about high-speed rail? I mean, yesterday I was stuck on the 405. I missed receiving my award. And I would have to wait sometimes 45 minutes. I am a doer. It is never easy.
And now, an update from the John and Ken Loretta Sanchez desk. Here's John and Ken.
John and Ken Show, KFI AM640.
Hey, it's been a while since we checked in on Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez, who, as far as we know, is still running for United States Senate. That's the boxer's seat. And, of course, her primary opponent is the Attorney General of the state of California, Kamala Harris. Anyway, this update is because there's a new interview. She appeared on Capitol Public Radio. And, of course, rather than just generically, well, I'm sure it was a wide-ranging conversation, but they eventually started asking her about two things. Number one, what you heard in the introduction. That's right. Her offensive war whooping last year. And she had to apologize for it.
I'm offended every time I hear it. It gets me mad.
Right. Oh, she was trying to explain to somebody that she met with a guy who was actually from India.
Right.
She called him Indian, so she wanted to explain he wasn't that.
An American Indian, right.
Right. Native American or
whatever.
And, of course, the other more recent comment she made was about the percentage of Muslims. I guess the comment was between 5 and 20% of Muslims in the world want a caliphate. Didn't she go on to say, though, that there could be violence attached to that or something?
Yeah, it was a whole discussion about terrorism, and she was concerned that high percentage of Muslims could be, I think, supportive or sympathetic to a caliphate. Caliphate is absolute religious rule.
Yeah, look, I don't have. Maybe this is shocking you. I don't have a big problem with that because I expect that there are probably a lot of Christians.
It might be true
who want our government to be run by a guy with a Bible all the time, right? And only under the Christian rules and laws or whatever that is. So, but the big step is what percentage of that 5 to 20% would do it by violence? That's what scares me. That's the ISIS way.
Right. Yeah. See, that's the thing. At the moment, the American Christians don't have a ongoing sect that is promoting terrorism and violence.
No.
But right now, that's what's going on in Islam. There's a major radical element there, and it does encompass the sympathies of millions,
right?
Which has been proven by the polling.
Although I think if you closely interviewed the Oregon occupiers, you might find there's some elements.
Well, yeah, but they're not religious, though. They're strictly rebelling against.
They believe
government.
they're strict constitutionalists.
Yeah,
right. To the government's land grab. All right. Well, here she is on Capital Public Radio talking about these things.
You've drawn some criticism during this campaign for a couple of what folks have called foot-and-mouth comments, one where you were accused of mocking Native Americans by making a stereotypical sound effect, and another where you said that up to 20% of the world's Muslims want to form an Islamic caliphate. Now, I know you've apologized for both. What would you say to critics who call those comments unacceptable, particularly at a time when Democrats are criticizing Republicans and presidential candidates for their anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant remarks and positions?
Well, first of all, let's go back to this. I have apologized on this whole issue with respect to Native Americans. Though it's not a mocking comment I was making, that was a story I was telling from 20 years ago.
What?
But I did apologize and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody. But let's go to the whole Muslim issue. And let's be clear about what I said, because I did not apologize for what I said. Remember what I do in the Congress. I have more experience, and most people would call me an expert on terrorism, counterterrorism, national security, international, military issues, etc. I do inside and out every single day when I'm in Washington, D.C., the nasty stuff that you all shouldn't have to worry about, because that's my job. That's what I'm doing. So I would consider myself, quite honestly, an expert.
We should be thanking
on the
her.
Issues of terrorism. So my comments were that some people have said to me, and it's true, some people have said to me that between 5 and 20% of Muslims in the world want a caliphate. Nobody has been able to refute those numbers. So my next words after that was, I don't know what the number is. Don't know what the number is. We don't know. But we have to understand the roots of ISIS and others who would mean to hurt us before we can develop and apply a strategy by which we can eliminate the threat to us. And so, until somebody sends me something that shows me that it's a lower number, let's have a discussion. That's all. I did not say it was U.S. Muslims. I did not say it was 20%. I said some people have said that it's between this range. Let's have a discussion, people. It's important for us to do it.
What's fascinating about that is very different when she makes those bubble-headed speeches. She's speaking much more slowly and very careful about picking her words, and she sounds a little bit scared.
Well,
there's a little bit of tenseness in her voice.
Because she's running into the politically correct.
That's right. I'm on her side this time because she's trying to explain the whole thing behind ISIS and whether or not we have to look beyond ISIS. other threats like this, that people will take a government by force and install a caliphate. That's all she was trying to say.
This is one of the biggest issues in the world right now. Because of all the refugees that are piling into Europe. You see what's happening in Europe. There's all kinds of political rebellions going on. In Germany, I read in Sweden the other day, people don't want their nations to become heavily Muslim. It's a much different culture than
what they
have in Sweden or in Germany or in France, in England, in a lot of places. Norway is going through this. Denmark just passed some pretty serious immigration restrictions because people have looked around and they said, wait, we like our culture. We like our language. We like our predominant religions. We like our customs. We don't want to change because people who believe in the caliphate want to change whatever country they've moved into. It's not compatible. And so there's a lot of Europeans who are rebelling against all these elites in government and media and academia who think that it's just wonderful.
I guess that leaves the question of what you believe, that taking in Muslim immigrants is fine as long as it just becomes another part of the country, or does it become a problem not just with isolated terrorism, but with a feeling among the growing population that they'd rather have a caliphate than whatever Sweden and Denmark have had.
Ben Carson quoted Teddy Roosevelt last night.
Oh.
It stuck in my head. Teddy Roosevelt was the one who said, we're a nation of immigrants.
Yes.
And everybody always repeats that, but they never repeat the rest of what he said. He said, and they're welcome if they want to come in and adopt American values and become Americans.
Yeah, it's always missing.
Yeah, that part's always missing from it.
All right, coming up, we will give you the latest on the Porter Ranch gas leak. A lot of developments on that front. We've got Hacking a Dumpster in just over an hour. Moist Line 2 in the 5 o'clock hour.
John and Ken Show. Libby Dickman is news. KFI AM 640.